What's good, family? So mash the like button and subscribe. Oh no. Oh no. It's bad. We down bad right now. All AJ fans globally are down super duper bad. Every day it gets worse, it seems. Now, my little dons out there will know that we've been following the AJ Rob McCracken saga as it's played out. We've been following the AJ, I'm gonna call it Scary Gate, yeah? This is what you call Scary Gate. No doubt. Or shook gate from our UK dons. Some people say, why? What does scary mean? Scary means shook. Super scary. Super shook. No doubt. Anyway. So yeah, we've been following Anthony Joshua featuring Scary Gate for about, how long now? Probably over a year. But really, since the Pulev fight. Why? What we know is, after AJ lost to Ruiz, he came back and fought Ruiz again. The performance was a little suspect. However, people said, you know what, it's his first one. Give him some time. Obviously, 2-2s, he fights Pulev. But the Pulev fight confirms he's scary. He down bad. He's not thriving, in my opinion. And then we are where we are today. But again, I promised to update every time there's something to say, or every time there's some new piece of information regarding Scary Gate, we're going to talk about it, no doubt, 100%, because no one else ain't talking about it. You got the AJ channels who stay shilling, you got the other channels who stay hating. Me, objective, me, want the best for AJ, no doubt, 100% confirmed. So, let's get to it then. These are the latest comments from a Team AJ representative. He said the following regarding the Alexander Usyk fight. And in fact, you know what, before I give you the comments, yeah, I want to make something else clear as well. The reason it's so important that we follow this Scary Gate saga is because Scary Gate isn't happening in isolation. It's happening in there's a number of different things going on at this point in time. Number one, AJ is about to fight a cruiserweight. Do you understand? Number two, AJ in general is in a division that is super duper weak. Super weak, this division is. So Scary Gate isn't happening on its own. It's not the case where you can sit there and say, yeah, YB, Scary Gate is here, but to be fair, he's in with the best heavyweights we've ever seen, so can be forgiven. No. Scary Gate is taking place in front of cruiserweights and dudes who ain't no good. Old dudes, Pulev 40-year-old dudes, out of shape dudes, Dillian White dudes, chicken leg dudes in Wilder, yeah? Skinny leg dudes in Tyson Fury, no power having ass dudes, and you know what I'm saying? It's a mess. And I'm sorry, but Scary Gate is inexcusable in this current setting. Anyway, let's get back to it. So, bear in mind, he's about to fight a man who's 200 pounds soaking wet, yeah? Check this out. This was from a Team AJ representative. He said the following. AJ is a pound for pound top 5 fighter. Power-wise in the division, he's the best, and he's fought some of the biggest punchers. Dillian White, Klitschko, Andy Ruiz, as well as many others. Pulev can punch as well. I don't think Usyk carries the power of those guys, but he still carries power. It can be an awkward fight, this fight. It can be tricky. I don't think AJ buys into the too big, too strong narrative. Let me say that again. I don't think AJ buys into the too big, too strong narrative. He doesn't want to rely on his size in this fight. He wants to not only outskill Usyk, but he wants to be able to compete with him on that level. He goes on. I believe he will as well. This is a dangerous fight. I hope when AJ wins, they give him the credit he deserves, because I think his resume is second to none. There you go then. Wow. You know what? Let me focus back in. Let me hone in on the key parts here. I don't think AJ buys into the too big, too strong narrative. Now, what is the too big, too strong narrative? What do we know? I'm pretty sure this, by the way, this Team AJ representative is Eddie Hearn. I'm sure, in fact, I know for a fact, Eddie Hearn is locked into the YB, because what do we know? I've been saying, AJ Too big, too strong. No one else had been saying that one. 100%. Too big, too strong. Carl Froch. Carl Froch Golovkin. Carl Froch 160 Golovkin. Too big, too strong. That there. Carl Froch should trademark that saying, because it's... What's the word? I'm not sure what word it is, but listen, that phrase is something strong to it. Too big, simple as that. That's what it means, really. Simple as that. Too big, too strong. Sometimes that's just what it is. Boxing can be extremely complex at times. This isn't one of them ones. This is one of them. Too big, too strong. There's no maths. There's no boxing triangles. There's no anything else. It's just too big, too strong. It really is that simple. Instead, Team AJ and Scarygate. Team AJ in the middle of Scarygate. I'm telling you now, 50 years from now, yeah, they'll look back and it'll be known as Scarygate. 100%. Trust me, 50 years from now, we will know about some sort of conspiracy that was going on and how AJ was part of Scarygate and Rob McCrappen. Maybe Rob McCrappen's been paid off to sabotage the greatest athlete in the last 100 years. That's what my money's on. If I had to put my money somewhere, it'd be Rob McCrappen. He being paid by some Russian government thing to make, you know what I'm saying, to get the UK fighters down bad. That's my opinion. There's some next Russian thing going on, 100%. Anyway, listen. Let me read it again, one more time. I don't think AJ buys into the too big, too strong narrative. Wow. And this goes for all of you scoofies out there who disagree with me when I tell you something's not right, or something's not optimal with his mindset. What do you mean AJ isn't buying into the too big, too strong? What do you mean he's not? If he ain't buying into it, who is then? And I wouldn't mind if he was going in there with a 300-pound man and whatever. I'd get that. But what do you mean you're not buying into it? How are you not buying into that? I'll tell you how you're not buying into it. Rob McCrappen is how you don't buy into it. Because if you hang around with him too much, you end up buying into the scariest option possible every time. The most boring and the most scary option. Run around, that's it. Stay behind the jab, that's it. Stay behind the jab. Stay behind the jab. Wow. You're going in there with a man. If there's ever a time to buy into too big, too strong, it would be now. Call me a liar. All you McCrappen fans, call me a liar. If Team AJ can't buy into the too big, too strong narrative, when can they buy into it? Because people say things like YB, you know, you've got to be able to adapt. I don't actually agree with that saying. I don't agree with you've got to adapt. I believe when you're a certain type of fighter, you make your opponents adapt to you. So not every fighter can do that. Some fighters have to adapt. Other fighters make their opponents adapt to them. For example, Alvarez. Triple G, when he came in for the rematch, he had to adapt. He had to run around. That's what happened. And obviously, even people less good than Triple G, people had to adapt to him. They had to work around him. Callum Smith went in there. I thought Callum Smith had a chance. Genuinely, I thought Callum Smith and Canelo was 50-50 for me. Because of how Callum Smith stopped George Groves, I thought, you know what, and given the size differential, because Callum Smith was more or less a 172-pounder kind of thing. He was massive for the weight, and Alvarez was moving up. So I thought, listen, he's 6'3" and it's going to be a hard night work. Guess what? Alvarez chewed him up and spat him out. Ask Alvarez if he was buying into the too big, too strong narrative. Yeah? Alvarez always buys into that. I'm too big, too strong. Simple as that. And he bets on himself, he doubles down on himself every time. And what you notice is, when you double down on yourself, when you get into the rhythm, you just go strength on strength. When you're constantly having to adapt. Oh, I'm adapting. You don't know who you are. You don't have your own identity. You're just nicking belts and nicking fights, aren't you? I'm going in there and I'm going to adapt. No, you make the road. How about that? You cut through the road. And I have to agree, actually, how AJ's fighting. He's fighting like an adapter. I'm going to go in there and just try and save my, just try and leave with my scalp on my head. That's how he fights now. He don't make his own road. He don't say, you know what? He takes the long... Basically what I'm saying is, he takes the long way around things. There's a straight line. Alvarez takes a straight line. He cuts straight through. He ain't trying to do all the extra stuff. He ain't following the path. He making his own road. Alvarez flies like a crow, straight there. AJ, he be taking different roads and roundabouts and doing way too much he don't need to be doing. And this is another example of that. And because of the size differential, it makes it even more obvious. I'm telling you now, when them two get in the ring, yeah, you're gonna look in the ring and you're gonna think, wow, this shouldn't be legal. And my biggest worry is, despite seeing how huge AJ is, I think we're gonna see him dancing around the place as well. That's what's being said here anyway. He's saying he doesn't want to rely on his strength. He doesn't want to rely on his size. And this is the thing I hate about what's going on at the moment. It's the way they try and spin it. Ever since Floyd Mayweather came along and he became the decision king, ever since Klitschko came along and he became the decision king, ever since Tyson Fury came along and he became the decision king, there's been this whole narrative change. Before, yeah, boxing was about stoppages. Boxing was about ferociousness. Now, because of them main three individuals, they've turned it into, it's cool, it's the best thing you can do is win on points. Oh, it's boxing. Oh, it's skills. Oh, it's skills pay the bills, and that's how it's changed. Before, people weren't interested in skills pay the bills. Don't get me wrong. People wanted to see skills on the way to a knockout, yeah? That's what it was about. Show me how you use your skills to knock someone out. Which, that is the ultimate definition of skills. The ultimate skill is being able to knock someone out. The ultimate skill isn't winning on points. It's just not. It's exponentially harder to snatch someone's consciousness, but that's been lost. Because people who weren't able to take consciousnesses, Floyd Mayweather couldn't take no consciousness, so he had to rebrand. He had to change the whole narrative, which was good for him. That's what you should do. If you ain't got no power, you best make the best of it, you know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, other fighters have come along. AJ idolises Floyd Mayweather. And people who have been gifted with the ability to use their skills to get stoppages and get knockouts, they're trying to play the whole Mayweather book. Oh man, you know, I don't get hit and I win on points, and you know, it's goofy, man. I don't get it. And now, to such an extent, you've got a KO machine who's trying to prove he's got more skills and he can run around more. Who can run around more than Usyk? What is going on here? I'm sorry, I don't get it. And I know what's going to happen, yeah? AJ's going to win on points, and then you're going to get all the goofy, fruity AJ fans saying, oh, YB, look. Yeah, AJ's the best boxer ever because he outboxed Usyk, and Usyk's the Olympic this, Olympic that. I don't care, personally, I really don't. Not interested in seeing him go 12 rounds with a cruiserweight. I'm just not. That's not a boxing lesson. That's not skills. Skills would be, I'm going in there with a cruiserweight, and I'm going to skillfully show you how to knock this guy out in 3 rounds. That's what skills would be. I'm getting this guy out of there in less than half of the fight. That's skillful to me as a heavyweight. As a particular type of heavyweight as well. Skillful isn't, well, I'm going to see if I can nick and knack with this dude. That's scary. That's what that is. I'm sorry, it is. And we saw it in the Ruiz rematch. We saw it in the Pulev fight. And by the sounds of things, we're going to see it again. Because I've got to be honest, what do we know? Before the Pulev fight, AJ was saying things like, I'm going to knock this guy out. I remember it. AJ was actually speaking smoky in that fight. He was saying, before the Pulev fight, he was saying, I'm going to knock this guy out. I'm going back to knockouts. That's what he said. And even that, in my opinion, was lackluster. But now, he's actually on board with that whole thing. Of, oh no, I'm not going to buy into the too big, too strong. And I don't want to rely on my size. I want to outskill Usyk. I want to be able to compete with Usyk on a skill level. What is going on here? The only thing I can think of is that Rob McCracken has been planting things in AJ's head. Oh, AJ, yeah, we're training for skills. Yeah, we're not doing the knockout, we're training for skills. That's the only thing I can think of. Oh, yeah, we're training for skills now. And now everyone's parroting that. Oh, we're training for skills and we're not relying on our power. And that's another cliche thing. What you notice, yeah, people who don't have power like Floyd Mayweather, for many years, Floyd would say, he'd kind of talk down on people who get knockouts. He'd say things like, Floyd Mayweather made people who get knockouts look like bruisers. If that makes sense. He'd make them sound out to be as if they're just hammerheads. They're just hammers. And he rebranded it in a way where he almost tried to make it the cool thing to do is to win on points. And now you've got heavyweights trying to do the same stuff. It's bad. It's bad enough we've got welterweights doing it. I mean, really, how many knockouts do we get in any division these days, really? How many? It's rare, isn't it, really, when you think about it? Even with Alvarez, for example, and that's been my main criticism of Alvarez, has been he don't go for the knockout. So even in the best fighters today, even in Alvarez himself, his big criticism, in my opinion, is he don't hunt the knockout. He's happy just to sit back and, yeah, he wins every round, but he's not going for the knockout. Before, I'm not glorifying the old days, but it's a fact. Knockouts don't happen at the top level. They just don't. When you think about fights like Roy Jones versus Antonio Tarver, these were two Hall of Famers stopping each other. The equivalent, yeah, would have been Alvarez stopping Golovkin. Isn't it? That's the kind of equivalent here. When do we see any of them ones? When do we see any of them ones where people are... And that's just one example. I'm not a historian, but there's been loads of examples over history of Hall of Famers getting stopped by each other. Because these guys were fighting so much, it was inevitable. But these days, no one fights for a start. But when they do fight, no one's going to prove a point. Back in the 80s and 90s, yeah, people would want to prove it. Ali wanted to knock George Foreman out and knock Fraser out to prove a point. Not that I could just beat you, but to prove absolute dominance, to prove you are my sub, yeah? You are my bottom. There was pride in that. But these days, because of Floyd Mayweather and other people who ain't got no power and who was scary, because ultimately, yeah, Floyd was scary. He didn't like getting... He was scary. He didn't ever want to go for the KO. And that's what enabled people like Pacquiao to come up. And I'm not going to suck Pacquiao off, but it's the truth. The truth is, that's why Pacquiao came up. Because he was stopping people. Leftovers or not, he was stopping them. So, what we know now is, no one ain't getting no stoppages. But AJ was supposed to be that guy. He's a heavyweight. And again, people will say, YB, what are you talking about? He stopped Pulev. Wow, he stopped. I've just given you an example, yeah, of Roy Jones being stopped by Antonio Tarver. That's Hall of Fame versus Hall of Fame. Or top world-class level. Both men in their prime. Not one dude in his prime and one dude 40 years old and wasn't even that good anyway. Pulev wasn't top world class in his prime, so it's not the same. And it took him 10 rounds or however many rounds. Where's the pride gone? And again, we're not even talking about AJ versus a top world class heavyweight. I wouldn't mind so much, if AJ was going in there with a top class heavyweight, and I was saying, you know what, it's skills, and in a way I could excuse that. But the fact is, a cruiserweight, Taylor should be, in my opinion, it should be a disrespect. Yeah, a cruiserweight, champion or not, coming up to heavyweight, it should be seen as disrespectful. A unified, in my opinion, AJ's undisputed, yeah. As an undisputed heavyweight champion, it should be seen as an absolute disrespect that this dude even dares come up and thinks he wants a piece of this. And to add insult to injury, we're hearing things out of Usyk's camp about, yeah, I want to put one on AJ's chin and all this kind of stuff. He's talking smoky. Like, I don't even blame him. I actually agree. The way AJ be acting, I think he should go in there and stick one on him. Let's see what happens. Because the way AJ be acting, he looking scary. How about you don't want to buy into the too big, too strong. This is the definition of a too big, too strong fight. And that's what gets me. If there was ever a fight where AJ should be saying, you know what, dudes, you know what, people, you know what this fight comes down to? I'm just too big, too strong. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to show this 175er. I'm going to show this light heavyweight. In fact, I'm going to send this dude. I'm going to whoop him so hard, he going back to middleweight. Yeah? I'm going to knock 30 pounds off him. This dude can be a middleweight by the time I finish with him. That's what this fight's about. This fight is about me sending a cruiserweight down to middleweight. Simple as that. Those are the things that should be the talk of this fight. That should be the prelude of this fight. How many weight divisions is AJ going to send Usyk down to? Is it going to be cruiserweight? Is it going to be middleweight? Is it going to be welterweight? How many pounds is AJ going to knock off of Usyk? What weight division is Usyk going to end up competing in after AJ has knocked a few blocks off his head? Yeah? Instead, we're sitting here and we're talking about how AJ doesn't want to rely on his size. Wow. And I don't care what no one says. I'm sure, and in fact I know for a fact there's AJ fans out there who are going to try and tell you different. Oh, no, you see, the thing is, no, it's magical, and no, it's the right thing, and he's learning, and he's making really good gains, and no, YB, you're just a slugger, and no. Alright then. You man stay shilling. You man sound just like the Fury fans, who was shilling when he used to do scary stuff. And the difference is, Fury had an excuse. He can't punch. And that's why I'm so hard on AJ. He got all the bits he needs to have. He's got no excuse. Absolutely no excuse. There's no reason this fight shouldn't be straightforward. No reason. And I'll say it one more time. If you disagree, tell me what reason. Tell me what reason you see that this fight needs to be complicated, needs to be about skills, needs to be about IQ. Explain why it does. What's Usyk's going to do?